Hello everybody. Teaching children with special needs. Today under this topic we are going to deal with the lesson the historical perspectives in special or inclusive education in India. The objective of this lesson is to understand the historical perspectives of special education in India. More than half a century ago, in 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. In 1975, the same body adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Disabled Persons. Many important conventions, declarations, action plans have been accepted by the governments and international and national non-government organizations also. Those who are related to education for all, particularly the disabled children. The Conventions on the Rights of the Child in the year 1989, the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific report in 1999 on education of the children and youth with disabilities into 21st century, and the World Declaration of Education for All and its framework for action to meet the basic learning needs of 1990, and Article 3 Clause 5 states that all learning needs of the disabled demand special attention. The steps need to be taken to provide equal access to education to every category of the disabled persons as an integral part of the educational system. Nothing can be more than clearly stated. The declaration and the framework were accepted with the year 2000 as a target for completion. We will see the historical perspective in India. The formal education of children with disabilities began in India in the year 1869 itself, when the Jane Leopold, with the support of the Church Missionary Society, started the first school for blind in Benares. The first formal school for children with intellectual and physical disabilities was established in the eastern part of India in Kursang in 1980. The education of the children with disabilities in a segregated setting continued well even after the India gained independence in 1947, with various non-government organizations assuming and increasing a responsibility for their education. In the year 1966, there were around 115 schools for students with visual impairment, 70 schools for students with hearing impairment, 25 schools for students with orthopedic disability, and 27 schools for students with intellectual disability. So, this shows how India was concerned towards the child with special needs. One of the major initiatives from the government of India to promote the integrated education is from the program IEDC, Integrated Education of Disabled Children. In the year 1974, the Ministry of Welfare and Central Government of India initiated the IEDC program, that is Integrated Education of Disabled Children program, that is to promote the integration of the students with mild to moderate disability into regular schools. The program was also designed to promote the retention of the children with disabilities in regular school system. The children were to be provided with financial support for books, stationery, school uniforms, transportation, special equipment and also aids. The state government were provided with 50% of financial assistance to implement this program in regular schools. However, this program was a little success because the non-availability of trained and experienced teachers, and because lack of orientation among the regular school staff about the problems of the disabled children and their educational needs, and also because of the non-availability of equipment and educational materials were the major factors in failure of this program, and also the lack of coordination among the various departments in implementing the scheme was also a major factor in the failure of IEDC, that is the Integrated Education for Disabled Children plan. Till 1990s, 90% of India's estimated 40 million children in the age group of 4 to 16 with physical and mental disabilities are being excluded from mainstream education. It is seen that majority of them were vagabonds out of violation, but because of careless school management and over anxious parents of abled children in a travesty of humanity and social justice. They have consistently discouraged the children with disabilities from entering into normal regular classrooms. The social justice and equity, which are dominant sentiments of the Constitution of India, demands the millions of physically challenged, mentally challenged children to be given preferential access into a primary and secondary schools. Fewer than 5% of the children who have disability are in schools. The remaining 9/10 of them are excluded. So, we have understood how the special schools have started in India. Now, we will see what are the initiatives taken by the India to implement the inclusive education. The Indian Education Commission was the first to suggest that the education of the handicapped children has to be organized not merely on the humanitarian grounds but also on the grounds of utility. The Commission observed that although the Indian Constitution has issued specific directives about the compulsory education for all, including the children with disabilities, very little has been done in this regard. The Commission also emphasized that the education of the children with disabilities should be an inseparable part of general education system. At the time when the Commission made its recommendations, there were less than 250 special schools in India. The Commission set targets for educating the children with disabilities of vision, deaf, orthopedic, handicapped and 5% of the mentally retarded children. The Commission also specifically emphasized the importance of integrated education in meeting this target, as it is cost effective and also developing the mutual understanding between the children with and without disabilities. The integrated education for disabled children in the year 1974. In 1974, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, the Government of India initiated a program to promote the integration of the students with mild to moderate disabilities into regular schools. The government were provided 50% of the financial assistance in providing the program to regular schools. The aim of the integrated education was to provide educational opportunities to children with special needs, to facilitate their retention in school system and to place the children from special schools into common schools. The scope of this scheme included the preschool training and counseling for the parents and special training skills for all kinds of disabilities. In spite of all these facilities, the IEDC, Integrated Education of Disabled Children, met with limited success. Then after this, the Government of India formulated the National Policy on Education in 1986. National Policy on Education for all the government schools and articulated a need to integrate the students with disabilities. It emphasized that whenever feasible, the education of the children with motor handicap and other mild disabilities should be provided in a regular school. It also emphasized the need to restructure the primary teacher training programs to prepare the teachers to deal with special children or children with disabilities. Then after that, the PIED, the Project Integrated Education for the Disabled, has set up. There was a shift in strategy from the school based approach to a composite area approach. the Ministry of Human Resource Development along with UNICEF launched the experimental project, the Project Integrated Education for the Disabled. In this approach, a cluster instead of an individual school approach is emphasized. A cluster, it is usually a block of population taken as project area. All the schools in the area are expected to enroll the children with disabilities. The training programs were also given to the teachers. This approach is an improvement over the special schools in many ways and appears to be the only way to universalization of education of the disabled children. It is more cost effective and it is easier to organize since the existing school infrastructure can be made use of. Under the PIED, that is the Project Integrated Education of the Disabled, there has been a significant increase in the number of the children, not only mildly disabled but also severely disabled children, with the number of orthopedically children and other disabled children coming to school in a regular school. All these perform on par with a non-disabled children. It is in fact the retention rate is also higher than that of the non-disabled children, and the absenteeism of these children was also found to be very low. The PIED, the Project Integrated Education of the Disabled, also had a positive impact on the attitude of the teachers, the heads of the schools, as well as the parents and community in general. Also, the interaction between the disabled and non-disabled children was also found to be very good. So, these were some of the initiatives Government of India towards inclusive education. So, after having understood the history of special education in India and the initiatives taken by the government, let us now move on to see the perspectives in special education. Throughout the world, the children with special needs were neglected a lot till 18th century, when the idea of fraternity, equality, liberty was sweeping throughout the world. The inspired political reformers and leaders in education turned their attention towards the educational needs of each individual child. France was the first country which played a pioneering role in the area of special education. Now, we will see what are the special schools in India. Along with other parts of the world, in India too witnessed emergence of special school for children with disabilities. The first school for the deaf was set up in the year 1883 in Bombay. There was a rapid expansion in number of such institutions, and today we can see more than 3,200 special schools throughout India. However, these special schools have certain disadvantages, which become evident as the number of these schools increased. These institutions reached out to a very limited number of children, largely only the urban area, and that too they were not cost effective. But most important of all these special schools is segregated child with special needs from the mainstream, thus developing a specific disability culture. So, because of this, the emergence of the concept of integrated education in India formed during the mid-1950s as a solution to these problems. A small experiment in the area was begun by the Royal Commonwealth Society for the Blind and Christopher Blind Mission. The Ministry of Education too launched a comprehensive scholarship scheme in the year 1952, a rudimentary beginning for the integrated education initiative run by the government. As a system, the inclusive education should be flexible. It is a principle that the education in regular classrooms whenever possible should be given to the child with special needs. So, it calls for a need for flexibility to be reflected in the methods and materials to be given to these children with the widest possible access to regular curriculum. So, the inclusive education should be flexible, and another alternative should however not be considered unless the classroom placement cannot meet their needs. Because of the line of new policy of inclusive education, the special school begin to function more and more as a resource center. The inclusive education services allow the children with disabilities to stay with their families and to go to the nearest school just like any other child. And then because of the natural circumstances is of vital importance for the personal development of the child with special needs, and interrupting a disabled child's normal development may have far more severe consequences than the disability itself. So, we have understood what are the perspectives of special education or inclusive education now in India. So, after having understood the history of special education and what are the initiatives taken by the Government of India, let us now move on to see the Right to Education Act and the SSA's policy. Right to education, it mandates free and compulsory education for all children from the age group of 6 to 14 years of age. The key objective of Right to Education, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan SSA, is universalization of elementary education. The three important aspects of universalization of elementary education are access, enrollment and retention of all the children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. This goal of universalization has further been facilitated by the Constitutional 86th Amendment Act, making free and compulsory elementary education as the fundamental right of all the children in age group from 6 to 14 years of age. This amendment has given a new thirst to the education of children with special needs, as without their inclusion, the objective of universalization cannot be achieved. In fact, the inclusion of one of the groups which is extremely crucial for universalization is only the children with special needs. Hence, the education of children with special needs has become an important component of SSA, that is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. SSA Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan ensures that every child with special needs, irrespective of the kind, the category, the degree of disability, should be provided a meaningful and quality education. Hence, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan has adopted the zero rejection policy. As we have already understood, it means that no child having special needs should be deprived of the right to education and should be taught in an environment which is best suited to his or her learning needs. These include the special schools, the home-based intervention programs. The major thrust of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is on inclusion and mainstreaming. The child with special needs should be fabricated into the formal elementary schooling. The experience of the program, like the DPEP, that is the District Primary Education Program, and the various research findings show that inclusion is best determined by the individual needs of the child, and most children with special needs can be enrolled and retained in regular schools if adequate resource support is provided to them. Whereas there are others who might have provided some kind of the pre-integration programs before they can be mainstreamed into a regular classrooms. Because of all these, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan has adopted a more expansive and a broad-based understanding of the concept of inclusion, wherein a multi-option model of educating the children with special needs is being implemented. Here, the dual objective is embracing this model under the umbrella term is providing the child with special needs an appropriate need-based skills, let it be occasional or functional literacy or simple activities of daily living. These skills to be provided in the most appropriate learning environment. So, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan focus on the inclusive education is evident in the approach adopted by the DPEP, that is the District Primary Education Program. At a national level workshop organized here to discuss the role of the inclusive education, the Director of Elementary Education and the Literacy argued that the zero rejection policy had to be adopted as every disabled child has to be educated. So, the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan extends the dual approach of historically adopted towards the education of children with disabilities by propagating the multi-optional delivery system. Categorically, it brings the concern of the children with disabilities or those in terms of child with special needs under the framework of inclusive education, and it ensures that every child with special needs, irrespective of the kind, category, should be provided with special education. So, this is about the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan's policy on inclusive education. Now, we will see what is the focus of SSA or the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan on the children with special needs. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan lists 8 priority areas of intervention for inclusive education. The first one is survey for identifying the child with special needs, assessment of child with special needs, providing assistive devices, networking with NGOs and other government organizations, barrier-free access, the training of the teachers, appointment of resource teachers, and then finally the curriculum adaptation or adaptation of the textbooks and appropriate TLM, that is the teaching learning material. Hence, it is noteworthy that all the priorities listed, majority of the focus is on the issues of access, not only the last 3, that is the training of the teachers, appointment of resource teachers and the curricular adaptation, where are all based on the classroom based process, which in essence are vital in determining the quality of educational experiences. Each of these priority areas received a varied degree of emphasis in the planning, and in most cases there is a significant lack of information on evaluating the worthiness and successes of these initiatives. The policy and reality. To open up the regular school system to disabled children is not a very easy task. The policy on inclusion and mainstreaming can easily become a mean dumping if they are not implemented carefully. It is, however, pointed out that a big gap exists between the ideal situation and the present reality. There is an urgent need for intervention for equipping the general teachers with special skills and making general curriculum and teaching methods, evaluation procedures, the learning materials and disability sensitive, and addressing the attitudes and needs of the children in schools to ensure that such intervention benefits the child with special needs. It is important to have a holistic and comprehensive and intersect oral approach where all the pieces are put together. It is not enough to present and implement only one part. An inclusion policy cannot stand alone and cannot be a substitute for careful planning of intervention and systematic capacity building for the implementers of these interventions. The curriculum should be child-centered. The children with disabilities need child-centered curriculum which takes into account the individual needs of the child, and the curriculum needs to be specific, observable and measurable, achievable learning outcomes. And then the curriculum should be flexible. A flexible, locally relevant curriculum, teaching and learning strategies are intrinsically important for the children with special needs so that they can participate in the educational process. Then the curriculum should be participatory. The child with special needs require a learning environment in which they can actively participate in learning in small groups and in learning settings. The curriculum should be partnership with parents. the curriculum should allow partnership with the parents as a key factor as the children learn not only in the classrooms but also at the home. So, we have understood that the inclusive education must respond to all the pupils as individuals, recognizing the individuality as something to be appreciated and respected. Inclusive education responding to the special needs will be thus a positive return for all the children. And all the children and young people of the world, with their individual strengths and weaknesses, with their hopes and expectations, have the right to education. And it is not our education system that have a right to certain type of children. Therefore, it is the school system of the country that should be adjusted to meet the needs of all the children, including the children with special needs. So, today we have learned what are the historical perspectives in special education of India, and then we have understood what are the initiatives taken by Indian government in promoting the special education for the children with special needs, and then we have seen why the inclusive policy or inclusion policy was adopted by the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the focus on special education. Hope you have understood the lesson. Thank you.